Hey guys, Hitman89 here, I hope you're doing great. Last week we had the best PC games, check out the video if you missed it. And today we're gonna be looking at the 15 best PS5 games to play right now. For this list, I picked the best games of the first half of 2024 and a couple of older ones as well, cause let's be honest, this year hasn't been insane. Without further ado, let's have a look at the first one. Final Fantasy XVI quickly became my favorite Final Fantasy game, after Final Fantasy IX on PS1. Yeah, I'm old as fuck. I like how it became mature, so there's some cussing, blood, and the whole atmosphere is darker than usual. FF16 is really fun, but it runs like shit and it's way too easy.
What did you say?
You heard me, bitch. Somehow, those issues didn't prevent the game from being awesome. Plus, it got a solid DLC earlier this year, so if you're still on the fence, play the demo and see for yourself. The second game on my list is far from being easy, cause on Spider-Man 2, you actually have to learn a lot of combos to avoid getting your ass kicked every 2 minutes like I did here. Personally, I'm not a huge superhero fan, but swinging around and flying through the city using your wingsuit is pretty fun. Oh, and the game looks and runs great, which is rare enough nowadays, so I have to mention it. Now, the third game I want to show you is only for those of you who haven't played the original on PS4. Cause The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is just an upscaled PS4 game with a couple of bonuses. That being said, the gameplay is just perfect, with probably some of the best AI I've ever seen. Every fight is nerve-wracking, the enemies try to flank you, they actively search for you, and those motherfuckers can be relentless. Not as relentless as the thirsty chicks in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth though. Seriously, everyone in this game is out of control. All jokes aside now, Rebirth has many more open areas than the remake, so exploration is much more fun, especially on Chocobo Beck. The minigames are also really good, almost more enjoyable than the actual game, especially the card minigame. Next we have a multiplayer game, Helldivers 2. I think everyone already played this 4-player online co-op third-person shooter by now, but if you happen to be one of the 3 people who still haven't, cause you live under a rock, then all you need to know about Helldivers 2 is that it's basically Starship Troopers with the same sarcastic humor, a little bit of crashes and server issues, and plenty of bugs. Giant alien bugs. That's gonna be the only dad joke you hear on this video, I promise. Speaking of dads, the 6th game on my list is God of War Ragnarok. The graphics are great, the combat system is still solid, and there's much more enemy variety. That being said, I didn't enjoy Ragnarok as much as the 2018 reboot, cause I felt like this one was a little bit stretched out, and I don't know about you, but I'm just not interested in playing Atreus, aka the annoying little piece of shit.
Shut up!
No, seriously, most of his parts were boring. The rest is pretty good though, so if for some reason you haven't played Ragnarok yet, get it for cheap. I feel like Stellar Blade came out of nowhere. Nobody was really excited for this game until they tried out the demo, including myself. It's got an old school vibe, like an early PS2 game, but with good graphics. The gameplay is where Stellar Blade really shines though. Once you get used to the parrying and dodging system, you'll really enjoy the combat. After months of playing V Rising on PC, I finally tried it out on PS5. It takes a little bit of time to get used to the controls, but once that's out of the way, this unique survival game is a must-have. You can take different forms, feed on powerful enemies to unlock new special attacks, and you can obviously build your castle and craft all kinds of useful items, weapons, and armor pieces. You can do that solo or with up to 9 friends. Obviously, it's much more fun in co-op. At number 9 we have a game not that many people were expecting, but it turned out to be great. Granblue Fantasy Relink is a linear JRPG for those of you who are sick of open world games. Personally, with JRPGs, I tend to prefer a turn-based combat system, but I love the action-packed, super dynamic combat here. If you're not sure you'll like Granblue Fantasy Relink, just download the demo and see for yourself. And that's gonna be it for the exclusives. Now we'll have a look at the best multi-platform games, and to change things up a little bit, at number 10 we have a horror game. On Still Wakes the Deep, you get fired within the first 5 minutes and the oil rig you work on blows up. But that's far from being the worst thing that'll happen to you in this game. Your buddies will turn into monsters with tentacles, and if they see you, they fuck you up. For having played plenty of horror games, I can tell you this one is real scary. It's made by the same guys behind Amnesia, so yeah, shitting your pants is part of the experience.
Fucking move it!
Next we have an underrated game that came out last year. Robocop Rogue City is an old school game in the best way possible. You know, back when games were gory, simple, and most importantly, fun. Grabbing these bad guys and throwing them on each other, or just spraying them with bullets and blowing their heads up is super enjoyable and it doesn't get old. I found the story interesting as well. Oh, and as you can see, Robocop Rogue City looks stunning. Definitely worth checking out. If you played the first like a dragon, then you'll see plenty of familiar faces in Infinite Wealth. The combat system is obviously still turn-based, since Ichiban is clinically insane and a huge Dragon Quest fan, so this is how he sees the world. There are tons of hilarious side jobs, and also a Sujimon system, which is basically Pokemon but with human beings. You can find them all over the map, and to capture them, you have to beat the shit out of them first, then offer them gifts. And that's just one of the many crazy things you can do in Infinite Wealth. The next game I want to show you is a story-driven RPG. I feel like since Banishers Ghosts of New Eden came out in February, it flew under a lot of people's radars. And that's probably why I keep on recommending it to you guys every other week. In all seriousness though, if you want to play a game where your choices actually matter, pick up Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. Now let's take a look at the 14th game on my list, which is none other than Dragon's Dogma 2. The latest update improved the frame rate a little bit. I don't know if we'll ever get a 60 FPS mode, but none of this game's flaws prevented me from no life in it. I loved exploring this dangerous world full of giant monsters that you can climb on and stab in the butthole, at least that's what I do, and the pawn system, although far from being perfect, is what makes the game unique. Last but certainly not least, anyone who has a PS5 needs to play Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erdtree. I usually don't put DLCs on my lists, but this one is so big it could easily be a full game. Too bad, just like on the base game, there are some serious performance issues here. They didn't prevent me from loving the game though. As soon as I used some Shadow Realm blessings, I was able to make a decent amount of progress. Plus, exploring this new world is so much fun. Before I end the video, I wanted to show you 3 more games that released on PS5 earlier this year after being Xbox exclusives. Hi-Fi Rush is a rhythm-based third-person action-adventure game. It's really good and pretty unique. Sea of Thieves is for those of you who want to grab a bunch of friends, sail the seas, fight giant monsters and other players. And finally, there's Grounded, which is basically if Honey I Shrunk the Kids was a survival game. And that's gonna be it for the best PS5 games to play right now. I hope you found this video helpful. Please don't forget to support the channel with a thumbs up and a subscription. I'd really appreciate that. It's been Hitman89. See you guys very soon.
I will not stop, I am prepared to get to the top, yeah, you must be rare. God, I'm like, hey.